I think deep funding is going strong, that it will continue to go strong, and that, yeah, I would say the recent events actually help to reinforce the trajectory that we were already on. And that trajectory is a trajectory of diversification, meaning that we're not just doing rounds, but we're also doing RFPs. Well, let us take two things that are connected to BGI, or three actually. We
Okay, welcome again. Welcome again. For your information, this meeting is being recorded for replay purposes for members of our community who are unable to join at this time. So, this is a virtual community, a diverse global village, really. So let's do our best to communicate as sensitively and as warmly as we possibly can. There is a lot to discuss today. We have a very, very packed agenda, very packed agenda, and it's a very technical-ish agenda as well. But it's something that we can achieve together. And if everybody does it as quickly as possible, we'll finish as quickly as possible. So let's just do it as great as we already know how to. So just to get started, like I said, there's a lot to discuss. So we're just going to get started. And first, I'll be sharing my screen to go over some introductory slides that we have prepped just to introduce deep funding to members of our community who might be listening or are here today who are not so conversant with all the things that we do here. So just give me a second to share my screen. Okay. Okay. All right, I think my screen is showing. Okay, so like I said, we have a very packed agenda today. First on our agenda is ASI and the way forward. That Yan will be briefing us on. We've got some updates on the BGI Conference that's happening in a couple of days from Esther, and we'll be learning about temporal computing from Jonathan, which I really am excited about. And then, as usual, we're going to be having a spotlight. And our guest today is the amazing Slate, who has been a valuable member of our community for as long as we can possibly remember. All right, so now deep funding, right? Just for you who do not know, deep funding is a decentralized grants program tasked to fund projects and initiatives that are beneficial to SingularityNET. And at SingularityNET, we have some values and a mission and some strategy that is just important. But first and foremost, our mission is to create a democratic, decentralized, beneficial AGI. And our values are centered around openness, creativity, collaboration, and kindness. And these values basically guide us on how we operate, converse with one another, collaborate, how we, achieve our mission, how we drive our values forward, how we build our strategies, how we build our products, the kind of initiatives we are funding. We just think about these things because they are important to us. And like I said, it's a community-run program, and here you can propose ideas, vote on existing ideas, review RFPs, discuss, join the circles. There are a number of circles currently existing here at Deep Funding. The event circle being the best out of all of them, but there are a number of circles here. There's the onboarding, the dev outreach, the documentation, marketing, a couple of other important circles. And you could join one of them depending on your skill set and how you are seeking to contribute to our, our mission here at Deep Funding. And this town hall, like I said, is for you. It is our way of gathering to discuss everything related to deep funding. It's a perfect place to learn, to ask your questions, and to start your deep funding journey if you haven't already. And for you who has been a part of this community, it's a place for you to get updates, to learn from people that are not within our circles, like I said, within our walls. and you just converse and find ways to collaborate with one another towards the goal of driving beneficial AGI. And for newbies, you could connect with us through the community website. You could join circles, book presentation slots. There is always room for you here to share your ideas, to share your presentation. We are going to listen. Um, we are going to be kind. We are going to be respectful. We are going to offer great criticism, very constructive ones. And so, yeah, another way could, be a part of us, connect with us is by calendaring with all of our deep funding events. Do not trust, there's this thing I say, do not trust your brain to remember all of the things you want to attend. So save it to your calendar, write it on your notes app, write it down somewhere, and you won't forget, right? And you could keep track of circle progress and work. So we want to hear from you as always. The community initiatives and awarded projects. You could host a breakout room about a specific topic, as long as it's within the frames of, beneficial AGI and computing and AI. We'd be here to listen to you just fine and collaborate with you as much as we can. Right. So yeah, thank you for listening to that introduction. Uh, I hope that if you're new here, you've gotten at least good enough information to get started. And for those of you who have been a part of us, it's a good refresher on the focus and initiative that is deep funding. Okay, like I said, we've got a very packed agenda today. Um, but we're going to adjust the agenda a little to accommodate for certain unforeseen circumstances that have come up. And so first we'll be having the updates on BGI Conference by Dr. Esther Galfalvi. So let's just sit tight and listen to all of the things that are going to be happening at the conference. By the way, if you've not registered for that conference, wow, we are going to definitely miss a lot. So Dr. Esther, over to you.
Hi, thanks for that. I still get a double take when I hear Dr. Esther, anybody saying that. Yeah, so the BGI Summit, yeah, I'm really pleased that to say that there's going to be a lot of availability for people to join virtually to the summit. So this is taking place on the 21st to the 23rd of October in Istanbul. But there will be a live stream, and this year we also have a fresh event app that will have all of the sessions listed. In fact, most of the sessions have been uploaded already, and speaker information. And as a special bonus, you'll also be able to connect with each other and connect with new people who might be interested in joining the community. And look up and start conversations in our community area and take polls, and you'll be able to interact with our brand new Nexi chatbot, who is around to talk about the future of AI with you and talk about the 10 reckonings, which you might remember from one of SingularityNET's earlier marketing campaigns, around the most important areas that society needs to consider for the future of AI development. And a huge shout out to Deep Funding Labs, because Lab has created this incredible event app within about 2 weeks. And so we were completely bowled over by the quality of the work and the speed that of the work that they did with this. And also they are also the brains behind the Nexi chatbot as well. So we'll be able to gather insights from all corners of the globe around what people think are the most important issues to do with AI going forward, and what their fears and concerns are, and what their hopes are and dreams are about the future of AI. So it's really exciting. There's a lot bundled into this virtual app. And I really recommend that you go and see it. We've got all of the schedule there with the live stream links as well. So it will just open a new window. You'll be able to join at any point during the conference. What else have we got? We've got so much going on, and so much community-driven stuff going on as well. So just as part of the schedule, the first 2 days will be scheduled talks, which will be on the live stream. And then on the third day, there will be some program events, but I don't think those are going to be live streamed. But there will be a virtual unconference, which will be hosted by the ambassadors. So that is all going to be uploaded onto the events app as well. You'll be able to join through the Zoom registration link, and they've got some really exciting talks scheduled and some opportunities to start your own rooms as well. So as it's an unconference, anybody will be able to start a breakout room and be able to discuss and host their own topics. So so real mix of lovely activities going on both virtually and in person. And the ambassadors are also kindly hosting some of the project presentations for the hackathon. So there has been this hackathon that's been going on over the last days. There are going to be some teams presenting their exciting projects, and that will be joinable also through, I believe, the same Zoom link. And one final addition, I think that we're almost ready to launch the ideation challenge that is going to run over the course of the event. So again, with our lovely partners in Deep Funding, who are very kindly providing ways for people to submit new ideas for BGI Nexus, there are going to be 3 categories that are available through the ideation challenge. People are encouraged to submit their best and brightest ideas for AI for social and environmental good, in a category of safety and ethics as well, and a 3rd category of governance, AI tooling for governance. So that's pretty exciting, and I hope that we will see many ideas coming in through the next days. And yeah, I'm looking forward to being able to interact with everybody through the event app. I'm going to be on the forums and checking out what you all have to say and how you're reacting to things. So yeah, really excited to share this event with you both virtually and in person if anybody is going to be there. Any questions? I just info dumped a whole bunch of stuff on you, so I'm not surprised if everybody's stunned.
Can I ask a really silly question? What's it about? What's the conference about? I started to be a numbskull.
Lead. I buried the lead. It's great. So we're bringing together visionary thinkers and futurists and technologists and developers to talk about the future of beneficial AI. So there'll be all sorts of talks and panel sessions and fireside chats based around this. So there'll be discussions around how we can ensure the beneficial future of AI. What are the challenges out there? There'll be some sessions around robotics and things like one keynote that I'm particularly looking forward to: are biological systems more intelligent than artificial intelligence? And so there'll be all sorts of perspectives as well from people who are thinking positively about AI, but also the other side of the conversation about what concerns there can be around the development of AGI. So yeah, really great mix of speakers. We couldn't even really fit them all into 2 days, so we spilled over into day 3. That's how many great talks we've got.
Brilliant. Thank you.
And anything that you miss, you'll be able to catch as well on YouTube afterwards. So everything will be available and recorded, even if it's not live streamed. Oh, thanks, Guillermo. Guillermo's put the event app in the chat. So you can already start joining some. There are still some bugs being worked out of it, so please don't share it beyond this group. But absolutely start exploring the app, and if there are any bugs with it, then do report those to. You can just find me on Mattermost or Discord. I'm on Discord as well.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Esther. Are there any more questions for Esther? Okay, no questions. Thank you so much, Esther, for sharing. We really are excited about the event, and yeah, we'll see you there. We'll see you there. Really excited about the event, and well done to you and everyone who has been working so hard towards this event. I know it's going to be absolutely fantastic. I am very excited to listen to the talk on is biological systems more intelligent than artificial systems. I could already scream yes, but excited to hear about other people thoughts on the matter. All right then, thank you so much, Esther. I know you have to leave us now.
I noticed that David is here also, who is going to be at the conference and either I think presenting a keynote. Is that right, David? Are you presenting a keynote this year?
It's a bit of a surprise, but I'll be doing a closing session with Ben Gutzel. discussing proactive versus precautionary approaches to beneficial general intelligence. How cautious should we be? How activist should we be? And Ben and I have complementary views, shall we say. So that's probably going to be at the very end of the unconference, or maybe towards the end of the unconference.
I've seen that on the schedule, actually. I'm really looking forward to that particular showdown, David.
Yeah. Great. Well, I'm looking forward to the whole event. And the more that we can inspire people from around the world to be part of the virtual audience, that's the whole vision. It's the collaboration, it's the openness, it's the creativity that can actually transform how the rest of the world thinks about AGI, rather than just our own small community here.
Mm-hmm.
All righty, thank you so much. You both really excited again for the event, and see you then. If you've not registered, I think registration's still open, Esther.
For online, yes. The in-person, I think, is limited. The number of attendees are limited, but you can certainly still register online as it's I mean, the event is available through the event app throughout. So all you need to do is visit that site. It's a web app, and you just go to that page, and that's where you find it.
Okay, all right then.
Although if you want to receive updates, it is helpful to join and register on the main site on the BGISummit.io website.
Okay.
Which I'll put that in the chat here so that you can visit it. And it also helps us to track how many people were there as well. So it is helpful to be able to do that too. Although we will count the registrations on the app too.
All righty, thank you so much, Esther. All right, everyone, moving on to our next item on the agenda. Jan is going to be giving us some information about ASI and the way forward. So get your notes and pens ready, questions, if you may. And yeah, Jan, over to you.
Yeah, and it's just Jan, right? It's not Dr. Jan, not Professor Jan, not Engineer Jan. It's just Jan.
Are there titles we should know? Do you have titles?
No, I don't have titles. I don't have titles.
Grandmaster Jan.
I'm Deep Funding lead or director officially, and that's the best title I could ever dream of. Yeah, I'm also looking very much forward to the BGI event. I will be there in person as well. One of the few things that I travel to. I usually try to avoid traveling for multiple reasons. One of them being the footprint, but maybe the other one sneakily also being that I just don't like it that much. David, I can still remember your presentation last year in Panama, so I'm looking forward to your discussion with Ben.
I had a few people mischievously say to me, David, that was the best talk of the conference, and a few others saying, David, that was the worst talk of the conference.
The worst? No, it was.
Yeah, that's right.
Best.
So that means I must have hit some nerves.
Yeah. Well, I remember you made a remark about the other presenters there and presentations, which was spot on, but I won't repeat it here. Yeah, thank you for being here, everybody. It's just a small setting here. We are recording, so don't be sad that there are not more eyes. We'll try to promote it also after this event itself. And we're building on something that we hope will get bigger and bigger, and I'll go and talk to you a little bit about that. Good to see all these faces here, a lot of well-known faces. Nils, good to see you here. Glad to see you part of the community. Guillermo, man, you have changed. I don't recognize you anymore. And all the others, familiar ones and less familiar ones. I think I missed a couple of town halls, not because I don't want to be here, but that totally had different reasons. So I'm glad to be here. And actually, I plan to be here more often and give a lot more information about all the things that we're doing in a more structured way. We're working on that. We're making a proper plan around that. But yeah, looking at the events of past, well, a week, I would say, past week. I think it's good to give a little bit of an introduction and give my perspective on things, and especially my perspective on what the relationship is with deep funding. Because what I'm referring to here are the changes on ASI level. As you know, one of our partners, Ocean, decided to leave ASI, and there's a lot of talk about it. I'm not a big social media adept, I have to say. But I went to the ASI Telegram channel, and what I read was, I thought, wow, a lot of these people know a lot more about these things than I do. So probably if you're here or are expecting to hear any new things, or I have to disappoint you, I'm not that close to that particular fire. So I don't have any new information to give. However, what I can tell you is that I think deep funding is going strong, that it will continue to go strong, and that, I would say the recent events actually help to reinforce the trajectory that we were already on. And that trajectory is a trajectory of diversification, meaning that we're not just doing rounds, but we're also doing RFPs. Well, let us take two things that are connected to BGI, or three actually. We did a round for BGI. Our deep funding lab, which has just been around for a couple of months, created some tooling for BGI, the app and an avatar. And we are creating an ideation channel, an ideation challenge on our deep funding website. I'll talk about that a little bit more. So that shows two things. That shows that we are diversifying. We're not just doing round, we're doing RFPs, we're doing lab, we're doing hackathons, we're doing ideation challenge, we're doing all these different things, and we're community hubs for that matter. And we continue to do that and expand that. And what it also shows is that we're doing this with a partner, because BGI is not deep funding. In essence, it's actually a separate organization. So we are very happy that we can work on this with BGI, because for us it's also a kind of a pilot. The next step, what we're aiming at, what our strategy is about, is that we would like to offer our services, our platform, our people, also for third parties. So that means that if we are successful, we would be less dependent on just the deep funding wallet, which is still our main source of resources. But we will also be diversifying in that area. So we'll also try to get more funding partners. And it's not just because we want to be independent of the deep funding wallet or of SingularityNET. Far from that, we are very close to SingularityNET and ASI and that whole ecosystem. But if we get more partners on our platform, the partners, we hope, will not only bring their own funding resources, but they will also bring their communities and the people around them. And our goal is to help kickstart all the tools that we are working hard at the moment to create, not just the platform, but also the tools that are built in ASI Create, ASI Chain, ASI Create, and Quello and Questor and all these other things. And by having more people using those tools and working on these platforms, we can achieve our goals quicker and faster and better. But it just so happens that these days, when there's a lot of rumor about the things that are going on ASI channel, and maybe some people are a bit concerned about that, Personally, I think it's a temporary glitch and it will be okay, but we have to be a little bit patient there. But nevertheless, under these circumstances, it shows that this would be a good trajectory to be on. It's not a guarantee that we will succeed. So what we are doing currently is a number of things. So deep funding, not too long ago, what is it, 3-4 months ago, something like that, has become its own entity. So we are an entity by ourselves of our own making. We are not called ASI. That was on the table. We didn't go that direction. Right now, deep funding is still very much SingularityNET oriented, I have to say. On the other hand, by not being called, for instance, we would also have been possible that.
Yeah.
Hello? It would also have been possible that we might have been called ASI funding or something like that, which I would not have been against and might still be something in the future. I don't know. However, by being deep funding and having our own brand and having our own identity, I hope that will also make us interesting to partners that are not part of the ASI Alliance, but are outside. So it actually makes it easier for us to grow in the widest sense possible. And that is what we want to do. We are always keeping close to our purpose and our identity. We're here to help, support, bring beneficial AGI to the world. But the more people and the more partners and the more organizations want to join and help with that, the better it is. Now, I think I should be wrapping up slowly, because before you know it, I will be talking about all these tools that we are creating, and it's a lot. And then I'll be talking for all the night, and it would be such a pity for the other presenters as well as for the people who are listening. But maybe there's one thing. So I expect maybe tomorrow, I hope, you will see some changes on the Deep Funding website. There has been an important change. We did a soft launch. We didn't make too much noise about it. A couple of weeks ago, we have this feed there, making our website a little bit LinkedIn-like. We also have extended profiles, so it will be easier to get all the news and to communicate and to message what is interesting for you and to find other people and learn about them on our platform. What you will see tomorrow is, first of all, a new branding. It will be a little bit limited. We'll roll it out step by step and it will become more visible over time, but you will see it in the header. And what you will see is a product switcher. So we are working on this. When I first mentioned to some people that we want to separate some things and take it out of the website and make a separate website of it, I got some pushback. Jan, this is too complex, and why don't we keep it all together? Maybe they're right, I don't know, the future will tell. But what we did do is make a product switcher. So every website that we're creating will have the same header and the same product switcher, a little bit like if you're in Google Drive, that product switcher in Google with Drive and photos and what else there is. And it will be the same on every website. And you will see just a few websites right now. Over the course of the next months, there will be a few more. And over the course of a year, it might grow to 10 or something like that. If I list every possible option, it might be even above 10. But you have to think, you can, so Deep Funding is our main website for funding. And what you will also see is the community website. Currently, it's a subdomain. It will have its own URL and be a site of itself. But we talked about ideation. BGI has this ideation challenge currently. And it's done on the Deep Funding website. This is the last ideation channel on this website. When this has been completed, we'll remove it from the website, we'll migrate it to deepideation.ai. And then that website will be totally focused on ideation and everything around it. We'll have a similar site for lab. You will see that maybe already very quickly. It's still being in a work in progress, but it's there. Not perfect, but it's there. So we'll have a site for Deep Lab, and we have a site. We might have a site in some time on hackathons, for instance. We'll have a site on something that's called Deep Seed, and I will tell you at a later moment what that is and everything about it. We also have some sites that are more tooling related. So we'll have backend operations with all reporting and analysis and details about milestones and awarded projects and so on. We are working on very sophisticated tooling on reputation and on ID and connecting your profile and have a single sign-on, something as log in with Deep, similar as log in with Google. We are characteristically ambitious, connected to SingularityNET, so we have to be. Yeah, I forgot a few things, but you will see them appear over time. And we figured that it is better for people to focus on one area. If you're interested in hackathons, you don't have to go through this in a huge website. You just go to the web hackathon site. Similar for ideas, similar for lab. But by that switcher, everything will be bound together. And by our new branding, our new house style, that will also fit everything together. So yeah, I think this was a good opportunity to mention what our trajectory is. We are diversifying in solutions. We have the goal of diversifying in partners, in funding sources, in communities. We're already doing that also with our community hubs. Yeah, and I hope with you all we can make that a success. So if you have other relations in your network that would like to publish an RFP on our website, or if you know an organization that has an idea that wants to do something with AI, but they don't know exactly what, we can organize an ideation challenge for them. And if you have an organization or in your network that has a pretty good idea what they want to do, but they don't know exactly if it's possible, then they can assign that to our Deep Lab, and we can make a proof of concept for you on a very good value, price to value ratio, I can tell. And if you know exactly what you want to have and all the conditions and features, we can help you creating that RFP and publishing it on our website and do everything from end to end. There's more, but I'll leave it at that. I think I already told you more than enough right now. If there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer them, but I also would like to keep some time for the other people here.
Alrighty, thank you so much, Jan. Yes, quite a lot of information, but good information, needed information. All right, so do we have questions or comments or praises or whatever it is? Just
I think just trying to tie it back to the question that Jan started with, how does this connect with ASI, which I feel is one of the big questions that everyone is asking subtly in their mind. I think people just somehow want to get that reassurance that despite the ups and downs that will be going on or that is going on with the ASI, deep funding is somehow insulated from that. Would that be a right thing to say? And what also strategically, now talking about deep funding itself, with respect to the ASI create, how does this tie in as well? Yeah, just this.
So we are tied to ASI in multiple ways. So our purpose that was originally tied to just a decentralized AI platform, which we need to reboot, and that's a separate project. We extended it to OpenCog Hyperon. but we're also extending it to the other tooling that is created in and around AGI. So if we fund a project, a team, then there is this requirement that we don't fund just everything. We fund things that are aligned with that goal of supporting that technology stack. And ASI Create is one of these things. So yeah, I hope that answers that question, and we'll extend that technology stack and will help in any way we can. We are isolated to some extent. We are exposed to the token price to some extent, but we also have a reserve plenty. We are in a pretty good space funding wise. So there's no need to make any changes on the short term. Actually, thinking about it, there's one thing that we are working on right now. So until now, we used to make all the payments in AGIX, and we migrated to FAT. And there's always this discussion in the background. How did you calculate that price? Because when I go to an exchange and I try to exchange it, I feel that I get less than I was aiming for. And yeah, you can discuss long and short about what the best calculation method or timing is. Currently, what we're doing is we look at the previous day and we take the average, because then we have some stability, and it doesn't matter when we make the payments at 3 o'clock in the afternoon or at 12 o'clock at night. So that makes things a little bit easier. However, the best way to escape from all of that volatility, which might be an issue for people that need to pay their bills with that, which is why we're giving these grants, is to pay out in a stablecoin. So I think triggered by what was going on over the past few days, I am expediting that. We were already on a trajectory of doing that, but we wanted to do it in a very proper and well-directed way, which we will still do, but in a little bit quicker way, a temporary way until we get to the high road. So I'm actually investigating if we can hopefully on a shorter term start doing our payments in a stable coin for those that opt in for that. Those who would rather continue to get paid in FAT, I expect that will also remain a possibility, but those that would like to be paid in a stable coin, well, let's put it cautiously, we're trying to give people that opportunity. And I hope that will also give people a little bit more sense of security and reduce the stress levels a little bit that might be happening around payments and so on.
Okay, thank you so much, Jan. I think that that's a very reassuring answer, because it really was hectic this last week. A lot of sweating and panicking, but that was very reassuring. Thank you so much. So then more questions for Jan before we move forward. Okay, going once, going twice. No questions. Thank you, Jan. You've done a terrific job as always. Thank you for sharing those updates. And yeah, we trust that it's going to be a smoother ride from henceforth. Okay, all right. Moving forward to our next item on the agenda, we've got a presentation by the brilliant Jonathan Edwards on temporal computing. This is going to be a very interesting presentation, so just pay as much attention as you can. But just so you know, Jonathan is a passionate machine learning and AI expert with over 20 years of research and industry experience. He runs a data science consultancy, Thoughtful Technology, and founded Temporal Computing, a deep tech startup developing a new form of computation. Jonathan is an internationally recognized researcher in AI, specializing in machine vision and classifier design, with publications in leading IEE conferences. He is also a visiting researcher at the University of York's Non-Standard Computational Research Group. His groundbreaking ideas on temporal computing have been described as revolutionary by Turing Award winner Ivan Sutherland. So, ladies and gentlemen, and any pets listening, give a warm round of applause to Jonathan.
Can I have the sharing thing?
Yes.
Yeah, hang on a minute.
Give me a second and not grant you.
God, that's the first time I've been introduced like that, so that's quite nice. Oh, here we go. Right, here we go. Okay, so let me share that. Can everybody see my slides?
Yes.
Slides are good? Great. Okay. So I suppose it is technical what I'm going to talk about. So just warnings. I think I was told quarter of an hour, but so I've done a quarter of an hour, but I probably will go over anyway. I've organized it into a chronology. So it's like when I did the first things up until now, and actually some of the stuff that is the second paper I actually was doing this morning. So it's all ongoing, and it's all been going for longer than it should have done. So yeah, so the idea is I go for the first paper I published in 2014. I published a paper in 2016. I did another paper in 2019, and then COVID hit, and I ended up doing all kinds of other stuff. And then in the last couple of years, I've been doing bit serial and stuff on Unary, and then there is an analog circuit, but I'm not going to show you it because it's just a circuit. So anyway, so where did it all start? It all started actually with I don't know if everybody knows who David Mackay is. Sadly passed away, a machine learning guy. He was the first guy to do Bayesian neural networks back in the 90s, and he had a little question in his book. He's got an excellent book on information theory actually, and his question was design a little coding scheme. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. I'll design a little coding scheme. And my coding scheme was to use the interval as the coding method. So if I want to communicate the number 5 to you, I click my finger once, I wait 5 seconds, I click my finger again, and it's the time delay between the 2 points. And I was really taken with that idea. I know it is. Subsequently, I found out it's called pulse interval modulation, but it's in a coding scheme that uses time as data. Now, why is that interesting? Well, I suppose in my very naive view of the world, you either are faster or less power. So in terms of faster, if I can make my clock tick really, really quickly, I can do the clicks very close together, and I can be faster. And clocks or oscillators do tick very fast. They can tick up to 2 terahertz and things like that. So you can certainly beat current sort of chip performance. The second thing I like about the coding scheme is it's only ever 2 bits. So if I want to represent the number 1,000, it's 2 bits. It's click, wait 1,000 seconds, which is a long time. Or if I want to represent the number 1,000,000, 2 clicks. 1,000,000,000, any number, 2 clicks. So there's a naturally compressive structure, which means if we all know what binary is, we all know that binary uses an arbitrary number of kind of clicks of ones and zeros. So I've got this coding scheme that's naturally compressive, and that leads to what's called a sparse coding, which we all know about in AI, and it leads to efficiencies in terms of power. So I had this idea. I had this idea in about 2006. I'd had it for ages, and I went to the University of York. I've got a good friend called Simon O'Keefe, and we were talking about stuff. We were talking about another researcher called Jim Austin, and Jim unfortunately is unwell, or was unwell at the time. And Simon said, "Oh, Jim's going through his crazy ideas. Have you got any crazy ideas?" I said, "Yeah, I got this really wacky idea. This idea of using time to do computation." And he said, "Well, why don't you publish it?" So I said, "Do you know what? I'll write it up." And then what happened was I ended up writing up a paper. And I was like a gentleman scientist at that point. I had no aspirations to make any money out of it. I had no, it was just a wacky idea. I think I wrote the paper Christmas Eve and Christmas Day or something like that. I just did it as a bit of a laugh. And I got the paper published. And the main ideas, this is the paper, the main ideas were published in an Unconventional Computing Conference in 2014. And it's fair to say I was an oddment in an unconventional computing conference, which is just shows you how odd the idea is. And the main idea is yeah, 2 clicks. You've got this interval. You've got these kind of spikes or whatever you want to call it, action potential spikes, clicks, and you can do that represents data. If you want to add, well, you just concatenate. If you want to do multiplication, then you change the speed of the clock. So if I'm traveling at 1 speed and you're going half faster, your clicks are half faster, you're going to double the number of clicks that I do, so you're going to get a twice as big a sort of number. Comparison, if I click and click and click and click, they should line up, and this naturally leads to coincidence. And then the other oddment which I really liked is the idea that you can multiplex. So I can click once, click again, and click again, and it's the end point. There's one end point and then the clicks. So if I do 3 seconds and then 5 seconds, I've got a naturally multiplex structure. And we'll come on to why that's important. But that's natural multiplex. And I got into big trouble saying, well, you know, multiplexing isn't real multiplexing, only the temporal multiplexing is natural. So we published a paper to great aplomb. Well, kind of. It's not been cited that often. But I went to I paid for myself to go to the conference in Canada, and Charles Bennett was there, the guy who's father of quantum computing. So that was quite nice. So I published that paper, and then I kind of carried on. And the second paper I published was this idea of recirculation. So the one problem with this sort of click thing is it's all kind of one directional. You know, it's transient. You know, it goes and then you've got nothing to think about. What I wanted to do was to put some memory on that. So if I click and send you a set of clicks, you can send me the same set of clicks back. So we can kind of what's called recirculate. And actually, I'm working on that idea because I published this paper in 2016. And I didn't really work out any of the minutiae, any of the detail. And it's come back to bite me because I'm having to sit and work through it as we speak to get this recirculation working. Now, the idea of recirculation is as you recirculate the compute or the thing that you're doing, you've got a way of encoding instructions, and then you've got a way of encoding data. And then as you recirculate, you kind of work through the problem. So it's a natural way of kind of working through a computation, kind of a bit like a functional approach where, you know, you end up at the result. And that's shown in this little diagram where one and one after it's recirculated, just I may as well be 2. You know, 1 + 1, I may as well be 2 in this circuit. So that was that was again published in Conventional Computing. They're a really funny bunch because they all do any, you know, there's chemical, there's all kinds of really wacky stuff goes on in there. The only problem with them as a group is they're a bit limited, so they don't publish in. Then you're not often referenced into that community. So I did that, and then this was 2016, and 2000. I was working. My day job at that time was working with a head and neck cancer specialist doing head and neck cancer diagnosis. And some investors had come to me and said, "Can you do this?" And I said, "Well, I can't do it in the UK because I find it very difficult to sell into healthcare in the UK." So they said, "Oh yeah, have you got any other ideas?" I said, "Oh yeah, I got this really wacky idea, how to do multiplication quickly, how to do addition quickly, how to do computation." And they said, "Oh well, we'll put some money into that then." And then sort of strangely, a company was formed in 2017, and we got a little bit of funding. And we kind of, I suppose, we're all here to talk about AGI, and we kind of pivoted a lot of the stuff towards doing matrix algebra. So one of the things we did was we patented an algorithm that does dot product, and that was kind of the main take home. So I got some funding, I patented that, and then COVID hit because it took a fair amount of time to get that done. So we've got this algorithm, which I'm going to try and explain to you. It's an interesting algorithm, and it works on this multiplexing idea. Bear with me because it may need us. You may get it, you may not. Let's have a look, see if it works. Now, the idea of the algorithm is essentially if you've got this structure that is like indexes, right? So if you look at the diagram, the gray line is 4 up and 4 across, and the 4 across is an index and the 4 up is a height. And in an index system like a click-based system, if you make one of the clicks a 4, you've got this idea when you multiplex it that you can kind of overlay things. And that is the structure that we've built. And then what we can do is we can overlay multiply tuples, we can overlay them so that they build a structure. I'm not convincing anybody with this, but they build a structure that we can then calculate on, and we can then do a dot product very efficiently. And this is the algorithm called the MAD algorithm. I don't know why I called it the MAD algorithm, because yeah, I suppose I was bonkers when I did it. But the structure is, we have this multiplexed, multi-valued system, and then we're able to resolve that as a dot product. So what we're essentially doing is doing lots of multiply adds in one go. And that was the main idea behind this. Is we do a dot product. The main idea behind doing a dot product is you're doing the weight calculations in a perceptron, and the main reason for doing that is because you're doing deep learning, and the main reason you're doing deep learning is because you're doing advanced AI, or whatever you want to call it. So we hit upon that idea. We got a patent in it, and we published it in 2019. And I went to Japan to talk about that. And that's where I got that very nice comment from Ivan Sutherland, who is a lovely guy. And he said, you've got to stick with this, Johnny. It's a great idea. This dot product idea is actually is not using time as it should be. So it's actually using an index space in memory to represent time. It's not using time as it should be represented, which really what I should be doing is doing one click, wait 10 femtoseconds, click again. But that's a physics problem that I haven't really tackled yet. But the upshot of the algorithm was we got close to MAC operations. If anybody knows their way around AI accelerators, the main operation is called multiply accumulate. So you're doing a multiplication, and then you're doing an add. And that's the major thing that kind of turns your processor from being an old-fashioned CPU into being a new-fashioned neural processing unit. So it's been able to do these MAC operations very quickly. And we were state of the art with one go. We had one go at it, and we made state of the art. So we can effectively do, and we've actually taped this out. So we've actually built we use something called tiny tape outs, which if anybody, I love tiny tape outs. It's a very similar sort of organization that allows you to have a little space on a larger CPU, on a larger chip, and tape out for like $300. So we take this out, and we got some results. And for power wise, we are just as efficient as a MAC unit, and actually we were a little bit quicker. So we got to that point, and then there was a little bit of an impasse. I guess the business had to kick in at that place, and I'm not a great businessman at that point, and that kind of just, it sort of sat there as a prime thing to do next. So that was kind of up to about 2021, and we'd realized, well, we've got this algorithm that's a little bit of a corollary. It's not the central idea, but we're still wedded to digital. And one of the things I suppose I haven't mentioned why Temporal is good is because this click can be digital clicks. It can be an actual one in memory, or a signal of one on a wire. It can also be an analog click, so it can be something smaller. So it can be a 0.1 of a volt instead of 5 volts. It can also be a photonic click. So it can be a photon. It can be anything. And actually, what you can do is you can interleave these things as well. So if you've got one photonic signal, you can transpose it directly into digital just by changing the medium. So it's not a case that you have to do really heavyweight analog to digital conversion or digital to analog conversion. So that's one of the things we're hoping to exploit as we go further, is this idea that it crosses across boundaries. So that got us to 2022. I ended up being quite seriously involved in the vaccine rollout in the UK. So that took a bit of time. The next thing that we did was really to try and recognize we'd done all this work, and we hadn't really got to the basics of what a temporal system would look like. And so what I decided to do was learn Verilog and start building some temporal processors in isolation, in digital, that aren't just a simple multiply accumulate or a simple MAD or a simple dot product algorithm. So I started to do that in about 23, probably 2023, and then we came up with this idea, which I call GUMP, which is that the processor doesn't give up. And what it is it's a 1-bit processor. So you have 1 bit coming in and you have 1 bit going out, and it's what's called bit serial. So a bit comes in, bit goes out, another bit comes in, another bit goes out. And you have this idea that your time is going to be represented as distances between bits, and the signals are going to be digital. And then what you do is you put 1 in, you 1 out, and you have a little finite state machine in the middle, which is represented as Verilog, and that does all. And this processor is ongoing. It's being built. Part of the funding for the work I'm doing is contributing to this, and the idea is you can take, and the idea initially was to take one bit that represent the intervals, take 2 of them, put them into the processor, and they come out as the addition. So the first calculation we did, the first properly temporal calculation that's ever been done, this is the first properly temporal CPU, was to take the value, I think it was 1 + 5, to take 1 and take 5, put them in, and then bit serialize, bring them out again, and that gives us 1 + 5, which gives us then 6, and we were able to do that as a continuous stream. We used a thing called unary, and if you don't know what the way I talk about temporal is synonymous with unary. Now unary 3 is 1 1 1, 4 is 1 1 1 1. So it's this idea that you're going to represent an interval. So there's an intimate relationship between temporal and with unary, and that's the coding schemes that we've got. We've got some clever stuff around instruction set coding. We're generally just clued up about how this all kind of fits together. And what we managed to do, it's really hard to get energy calculations in this space. If you want to build a processor, we're using open source, because I use only open source tools on this, to get an energy calculation is really tricky. You know, in the publications that happen academically often use Cadence or Synopsys, and they're £200,000 a year tools. You know, they're expensive tools to run. But fortunately, there is some great work in this area in the open source, and I managed to get a tool came together over the summer, and we got one really interesting number, which is we do 1 digital add, we do 1 unary add, and we're about 4x. We're about 4x. So we can do add 4 times quicker than anybody else, 4 times more efficiently than anybody else. Now, that kind of is a small thing. It's only add. It's not. We're not built a whole processor yet, but in many ways it's quite powerful, because you're taking a really fundamental operation and you're doing it quicker than the best possible way of doing it in digital. So we've done this. We've mapped it all out. We've done a like for like comparison. So this is not up your sleeve style calculations. So that's where we are. That's up to date. We've built this bit serial computer. It does little bits. We're going to do multiplication. We've done some other stuff with instructions. We've done some other stuff with multiplication that we're about to kind of put in place. I'm still doing this work with York. And at the moment, we're looking at 3 things. So the first thing is, how do we make this Turing complete? So how do we make this as a universal computer? That's what I've spent today looking at. The second thing is, how do we make this neurally complete? How do we make it do operations that AI will be interested in? The third thing, which I'm really interested in, is how do we make this a probabilistic system? Now, one of the problems with temporal is it scales linearly. So if you want to represent the number 10, it's 10 bits. If you want to represent the number 1,000, it's 1,000 bits. Now we know that 1,000 bits is only 10 bits in binary. So we know that we're kind of losing out scale-wise. But what if we just make this constrained to a certain area, and we fix the accuracy of the compute? We can represent probabilistic values really efficiently. This is the thing I've been looking at. I've only just started looking at, because I started my deep funding, my SingularityNET stuff last week. And one of the areas I'm really interested in is taking meta and maybe looking at the probabilistic aspects of it, because I can build a probabilistic algebra around temporal, and I can build a probabilistic algebra on top of some really nice operations. So being able to do efficient probabilistic work, I think would be really, really powerful, and something that would directly benefit something like Meta, or the way it fits together. Now that's early thoughts, some very early thoughts on that, but that's initially having done a kind of across the board look at what was going on. That seems to be the area that excited me the most. So where does this all go? It all goes into building a temporal computer. I suppose that's my kind of life goal. Every morning I get up, I think, right, I'm doing a little bit more towards building a temporal computer, and that's it really. We've got the small amount of funding from Singularity. That's great. That keeps me going. Still doing a bit of academic work, but we want to turn this into something really concrete. And there is, like I say, with Tiny Tapeouts, there's an opportunity not only to some interesting stuff, potentially put it out into open source, but also to build it as proper hardware. Wow, that's I hope everybody's still awake after that. So yeah, that's it. How fast have I been? Have I been overly fast or overly slow, or I didn't keep track of time?
You've been great actually. You've saved some minutes, which is really great, and nobody slept. You were terrific. Great, amazing things, right? You know, if I have to respond like an African mother, I'd probably say, you see, your mates don't have two heads, basically. So yeah, well done. Well done, Jonathan, and well done to your team. Niels is asking in the chat box, how do you represent a very big number or adding very big numbers temporarily efficiently?
Well, do you know what? It's funny. I haven't mentioned it, but there's actually, if you know what coded decimal is, a binary coded decimal is where you use a binary coding for each digit in a decimal number. So, and the let me get this right. 8 would be 0, 1, 2, 1, 0. But you put that in a digit place, right? So you have digits. So you get this very efficient representation where instead of binary, I call it unary coded digital. And that scales very well. That scales differently to just scaling linearly across. So like you say, if you've got a massive number, it doesn't scale well. But using a placeholder value for unary is something that is something that you can do. And that we kind of limit ourselves to around 8 bits. So our sweet spot is around 8 bits. But for 8 bits, instead of it being 8 versus 255 or 256, we've got 8 versus about 11. So if we use this unary coded digit idea, we can still do the same temporal click calculations, but we can concatenate on an individual digit, and our efficiency is just a little bit below normal binary. David.
Okay. Before David, so sorry, Ubi is asking like a follow-up on based on what Niels has asked. He's asking what happens when the click is analog, not signal. Will it still be power efficient?
Analog should be much more efficient. I mean, the numbers that I've produced at the moment are digital, so they're at +5 volts. You can get this right down to the noise floor, right? And actually, interestingly, if you go below the noise floor, it brings in a bit of stochasticity, which for random algorithms might be really, really beneficial, because it might avoid having to fix a value, build a random number, generate on top of it, and then generate random numbers. So yeah, this should go right down to the noise floor. I want to build a temporal computer in digital and then turn it into analog. That's the idea, because it should carry directly across to that medium.
Okay, brilliant. All right, David, over to you.
Really interesting. I want to check, Jonathan, that I understood something you said. You had figures comparing the time, or rather the power required for MAC operations, the multiply and accumulate.
Yeah.
Were these just theoretical figures, or did you somehow measure them?
What you do is, the game to play in hardware development is you actually do simulate to get power. To get the power numbers, you actually do a simulation, but you do a net level simulation. So you do a gate level simulation effectively. The tooling is around gate level simulation. That's acceptable within the within the engineering, if you see what I mean. People go, yeah, that's fine. They rely on those tools. I mean, I know what I would love to do is build one and then just connect a multimeter across it, but normally it's just done. The numbers I got for the Mac comparison were done with Design Compiler, Cadence Design Compiler, which I managed to get access to through a university. And in fact, that's why I still remain in a university, is because the tooling is so expensive if you're outside of it. But the tooling I use at the moment is called VTR Flow, and it's an open source toolkit called chain aimed at FPGAs, field programmable gate arrays. So it fixes that, and then what you do is you fix the process. So you say, right, we're going to have a 40 nanometer process, and then you just fix that process, and then it gives you some power estimates for that. So I'm hoping I'm honest in my power estimates, and I know that, and I don't want to name names, but I know that other people who are doing similar work to me aren't honest in their power estimates. So I've tried to be open source, tried to be very clear. I haven't published these results. I'm just using them as early signs that something interesting can happen.
Right.
Okay, then. All right. David is also asking in the comments that compared to unary, how does ternary logic fare in probabilistic temporal? That is just gone off. Probabilistic temporal computations.
Ternary is really interesting because it is the most efficient number system. You've got efficiency-wise, you've got binary, you've got ternary binary, and then anything else. I think 3, 4, 5. 4, 5, 6. Unary is not as efficient in terms of storage, but it is efficient in terms of computation. So one of the things that people talk about, and I'm really interested in this, and I think it's like phenomenal sort of way of sort of putting it, really, is like most people, when they talk about digit advantages, the advantages of a different representation, they talk about in terms of storage. Now, my take on it is, you've got factoring computations. You're efficient computationally, and you offset that with a little bit of inefficiency storage-wise, then potentially you're looking to change the needle that way. So I honestly, yesterday, I'm like, I think I need ternary in my temporal signals. I think I need, my ternary wouldn't be 0, 1, or I think a lot of people use -1, 0. Mine would be nothing at all. So X, 0 and 1. And that ability to say, do you know what, nothing's arrived, nothing's here, would be really useful for me in turning what is a temporal algorithm into a digital algorithm.
Okay, all right. So moving on, quite a number of questions. Ubio is asking, so when we have a Turing complete temporal computer, what special or unique comparative importance will it have against the computers of today?
It should be a really, the two things, I guess, and this is what, I'm sort of working towards. I should be able to build it in in absolute analog. So because time is the major thing that's going on, if I build it in digital, I can build it in analog. And if I can build it in analog, I can lower the noise floor and make everything more efficient. So that's the one thing that I'm really focused on. The second thing is some of the operations are much more efficiently organized if you organize them temporally. So for instance, a for loop, if you organize that in memory, you've got to kind of go into memory, get a bit, come out again, go out again, change your program counter or your addressing register and move out again. In temporal, because you've got this recirculation, you've got a natural way of doing loops. So you've got these natural sort of natural structures that allow you to make potentially, and it is all potential because, you know, I am sort of trying to invent a completely new form of computation. It is all potential, but there's a potential operations to be that much more efficiently implemented in temporal than they are in traditional digital. So they're the two things. If I can just do what I need to do in analog, that would be amazing. If I can do that even more efficiently, that would be doubly amazing.
Alrighty. Are there any more questions? Okay, I'm not seeing any more questions, but I hope that everyone has been satisfied so far with his responses. I think that this is something really, really terrific and very innovative as well. Have the papers, where can we find them if we would like to like read up on them, the
So
ones
I've got
published so far?
a really simple website. I've got the click thing as a video, so you can watch me do that. And then I've also got the papers are all on, and there's 2 links to it, temporal.computer and temporalcomputing.com will both take you to a very simple website that just really is a place for the papers. So all the papers are there, and I think some of the latest talks are there as well. So if you want to do, and I'm always
Okay.
contactable. Yeah, if you want to contact me, I think my address is on there and things like that. So yeah.
All right then. So you guys, if you are willing to, I know that Guillermo was saying in the chat, in the comments that he wants one of the first editions, and you should put him on the list before he had to leave the call. So I think that we really are excited as a community to
Brilliant.
see where this would take us. Math and physics is really fun. It is, and this is going to be potentially life changing for everyone, and computation as it seems. Thank you, Jonathan, so much for
No
your
problem.
time.
Thank you. Yeah,
We really are grateful that you stopped by to be with us here today to share
no
this
problem.
really, really brilliant idea. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
All right, then. Thank you, everyone, for asking all the important questions. It showed that you listened. So, yay, kudos to you. Free coffees on, well, free coffees wherever you take coffees. Just tell them that we said they should give you free coffee for listening today. But yes, all right. So moving on to the last item on our agenda today, is our special community spotlight, and our guest today is the amazing Slate. And to lead us in the spotlight segment, asking all the questions to Slate today will be Priscilla from the event circle as well, so that I take a little break. All right. So Priscilla and Slate, over to you both.
Thank you, Mariam.
you.
Welcome, everybody to the Community Spotlight segment. And for this segment, we pause and then take some few time to celebrate some of the incredible people in Deep Funding community circle members. We have people in and out of Deep Funding, celebrating them. And for today, we are turning the spotlight to someone very special, whose journey and contribution truly embody the spirit of decentralized collaboration, and is no other than our very own Slate from the Review Circle. Oh, guys, give him a round of applause. Hi, Slate.
Thank you, Priska. Hello,
Hi. Yes, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm fine. Nice. So, what was your initial thing that attracted you to Deep Funding? What really brought you into this ecosystem?
I was actually at first I was unaware of deep funding like completely. But I got introduced to deep funding at the start, like by Tommy. He introduced me to deep funding, and he said like there's the grant program, like the complete description, around 2 years ago, I believe. And then I was invited to join the review circle. Went through the regular interview and also the CV process, and I joined as a reviewer in review circle. And after a few months have passed, I basically got promoted to the coordinator role. So and actually I got to know about deep funding once I have stepped in. So once I did, it was to me it was like I was seeing it as a space like where people are actively building, innovating, and ideating, and it's like both on the both sides, from the proposing team perspective and also from the people who are working inside of the ecosystem. So the transparency and the openness, that was also another factor, and yeah, that's what basically wanted or made me want to contribute as a in deep funding, like completely.
That's really cool because Tommy is an OG in this community. So Well done, Tommy, for bringing Slate in here. And he's doing an incredible job in the review circle. So, in your own words, how would you describe the value and purpose of your role within Deep Funding? Like, can you reflect on any personal experience or anything you've contributed to that has brought growth, especially in your circle?
Okay. So my current role is like I am the technical team coordinator. So this role basically originated when we used to have like two different teams, one for the business team and then one for the technical team. But then later on they got merged. So there's actually multiple things that fall under this role. Like from my perspective, there's multiple stuff like it goes from onboarding, training, milestone audits goes into this as well. I'm also into development and automations, process creations, alignment with the reviewers, and also the major part that is coordination with the audit teams and yeah, following through milestone processes and changes and disputes. So everything like falls under this, and yeah, it's like it's a bit like being part project manager, and then there's process designer, developer, reviewer, and also like a problem solver type of, and it's a combination of multiple things.
That's really cool.
No.
Well done, well done. Okay, so can you share a contribution, idea, or initiative you've been part of within Deep Funding that you are particularly proud of, and why it stands out to you?
There's a few of them, but if I had to choose, like there's one that we are currently working on, that's the reviewers portal, like the dashboard in which we are exercising these special teams. Then there's another one that we ran around like 1 year ago. We did the AI review in which we compared AI reviews with human reviews, and we deduced an analysis on it. So these would be the two. And there are some others as well, like automations for RFPs and community hubs, just to reduce our like overhead on coordination. And so some things are automated directly. And what there's also another thing, like we started the formation of special teams at the start of 2025. I think that's also Paulo and we basically started this off, and this has been a game changer because it kind of invites the reviewers as well to come up with ideas that they might think that would benefit the circle, and we create teams and yeah, move forward with the processes from there.
That's really interesting. And well done to Paulo, to wherever he is. He's
Yeah.
not on the call, but yeah, well done to him too. Okay, so final question. If you had unlimited support or resources, what's the one thing, initiative, or project you would build first? And why would it be important for the deep funding ecosystem and decentralized AI as a whole? This is a big question.
So it's like unlimited support or
Yeah,
resources?
unlimited resources. Yeah.
Okay. The thing that comes on top of my mind, that would be like some sort of a AI powered or analytical platform, which is integrated in deep funding. So it's like we could automatically see like which projects are related to one another, and it also identifies like where the skill gaps exist in proposals, and also how different teams are relating to one another um, uh, through different proposals, but they are relating in tech stacks and stuff like that, uh, which may speed up their progress, and they can collaborate with one another through this kind of um, functionality in the deep funding website. And one thing I also saw that is very good is that reviewers could get insight directly from AI, and I did saw this happening in a deep funding lab. which is really nice, and in which the AI, you get the ratings from different AIs, and you can compare with them. So that's one. And also, like, fellow proposers can collaborate, like something having like a awardee teams connect, in which like they can do something like, if they are stuck on a specific milestone, they can connect with different awardee teams or experts to actually continue with their milestone, and yeah, maybe they can distribute fundings through that as well, so something like that.
Yeah, that's so amazing, because I have ever wondered, how do people get to submit proposals and like other people don't submit the same thing? Like having a proposal, people have, because everybody has a different idea, right? But someone can submit a proposal and their topic is the same as another person. How come people don't submit proposals, same proposals, but like separate people? And I
Yeah.
ever wondered how you guys do it. I'm in events and I don't have much technical knowledge to how you guys are able to evaluate each proposal and their milestones and stuff like that. So thank you very much. It was really nice hearing from you and the work you are doing in Review Circle. And yeah, please, if you want to reach out to Slade, he's in Review Circle. I am his personal PA. You could reach out to me. I'll get him whatever you want from him. Yeah. Thank you, Slade, for coming on the town hall and being a spotlighter. Okay. And thank you,
Thank you,
everybody,
Pascal.
for joining in and also contributing one way or the other for the event circle. We are really grateful to have you all here. Thank you. Mariam, over to you.
All right, thank you so much, Slade, and thank you, Krista, for hosting. Please, Slade is doing great work. So if you'd like to collaborate with him on anything, you could just reach out to him on Mattermost and get the conversation going. Everyone on the Mattermost channels you'd find is very open to conversations. Albeit we have very different time zones. I see responses sometimes when someone sends me a message and I'm seeing the person's time is 2:56 a.m. I'm like, why are you awake? Well, thank you so much for responding. But yes, please reach out to Slate on Mattermost or any other member of the community interested in collaborating with. And we are 4 minutes shy of wrapping up today. So well done, everybody. Great work. We finished right on time. Very packed agenda, but we finished right on time and you made it possible. So thank you so much. Thank you to everyone who shared, who's presented today, from Esther to Ian to Jonathan, and of course to Slate. Thank you for all the brilliant questions that you asked. Right, it was really lovely to see, to hear that everyone is thinking these thoughts and in the same frame, systems thinking and all of that. And I know that as a community and as individuals, we are going to turn the world right side up. So yeah, thank you everyone for being here today. Next week there's all hands, and then there's Twitter Space as usual on our bi-weekly schedule on Monday with Greg Kubler. So be there. And then on Wednesday, we're going to meet back as a community as well for the open all hands. And I think that's basically the agenda for us specifically next week. And next week is also the BGI event of 21st through 23rd. So let's participate with that as much as possible. Yeah, and let's just have fun while we are doing that. So if you see a deep funding person on the virtual chats on the events page with the BGI, be sure to say hello, identify with one another, and just let's all have a very, very brilliant time and talk about it together when we can. Thank you again, and good night, good morning, goodbye, everybody. Goodbye.
Thanks very much. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you for hosting.